Welcome back to Invested. It's getting hot. It's definitely summer, guys. So stay out there, stay cool. It's getting a lot of questions, interesting things that we're seeing. A lot of people are asking the right question. I think these kind of questions really come into play when there is a downturn in the market within commercial real estate because now when things are great, everything's great. But things are getting challenging, and this is where savvy investors and expertise comes into play to salvage some of the deals and things like that, or get creative. So I'm going to be fielding a few interesting questions and just going through it and provide it for you. This is pretty short, so I'll read it through. Retail center with poor frontage, businesses leaving. So I'm in the process of buying a retail center with high vacancy. Looks like tenants were struggling and left. High income neighborhood and a high traffic street. 18K VPD. 18K means 18,000 vehicles per day on that road. The building has poor frontage on the street. One end of the building is near the road, and that restaurant is doing great. The rest aren't benefiting from the traffic. Other than a large monument sign, is there anything else I can do to make sure the tenant I get will succeed in the center? Great question. So we always talk about it from real estate. There's multiple facets that you have to underwrite and review, but especially your retail, we always say it has to be a main and main. So if you're on the hard corner that you have like 18,000 vehicles per day and 10,000 vehicles per day, you're getting a lot of foot traffic, you're getting a lot of visibility. So a lot of the retailers want to be in that area. So when you say poor frontage, I'm assuming because you haven't provided the vintage and things like that, usually buildings or retail buildings that have poor frontage, it's an older vintage. It's probably built in the 80s or 90s because back then, how they developed was a lot different. It was a lot set back in. The front was parking and potentially L-shaped. So that's how it was built, and everyone kind of knew that. But the current builds are a lot different. The height's going to be higher. You're going to have better facade. You're going to have better visibility, right? That's how all the big box and junior boxes are going to want it. You know, that's Five Below, Aldi's, Publix, Sky Zone. They all want that facade so they can see. So when the businesses are struggling, it's multiple things. So they could be a bad operator, or it's just the economy is too tough and their product is not the right fit. I think you mentioned it's high income neighborhood and high traffic street. So I'm going to assume the high income means that they're above the national average. You know, city I live, the national average, I don't know, national average 72,000, maybe 75,000. I mean, you could fact check me on that. What inflation may have changed, but that's the typical income means. Certain areas in San Francisco, certain areas in New York, certain areas in Austin may have a higher income threshold, maybe 92,000 to 125,000. So that's going to really dictate where the retailers go. Because as an example, Macy's and Nordstrom, I'm not going to go into who's better, but the shopping habits of personnel is going to Macy's versus Nordstrom is different. Therefore, Nordstrom is not going to go into a neighborhood with the median average of 60,000 because that's not the right demographic of shoppers and customers for them, but that might be the right fit for Macy's. So when you say higher income, I'm going to be assuming that area has higher income than the national average. So when businesses are leaving, it's a few things. That landlord or lessor of that building may just curate the tenant. It could be a coffee shop, that he's a donut shop. It's whoever that wanted to be in that space because it's a good location, they acquired them. But then you never vet the tenants, right? Are they viable business? Do they have track history? Are they a franchise? Things of that nature. Are they a lifestyle ownership? You know, they were in construction and logistics company. They made a lot of money now. They want to open up a sandwich shop because someone told them their sandwich tastes great. Well, making sandwiches for few people versus commercializing is very different. So number one, if you're going to purchase this asset, ensure you put in good practices to review and curate the right tenant mixes and the tenant financials and the viability of the business. That's one. Second, if you have poor frontage, it's very difficult, right? Unless you demolish the building and you rebuild it to the new spec and new code, bringing it closer to the frontage of the street and using the backside as more parking. That could be done. However, I don't think that's going to be your investment strategy. So how do we purchase this as is and increase your income or increase the value of this property by attracting the right tenant who's going to pay you? Number one, if they're a business that relies on foot traffic and visibility, Let me put it this way. Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts, they're everywhere. So people are going to be driving. I want some coffee. I'm going to look at Starbucks and going to try to go to the closest Starbucks near them. That means also people driving by say, oh, there's a Starbucks. I'm going to go there and grab a coffee. So those are the foot traffic and visibility a lot of these tenants want. But if you have something called a destination retailer, and that's why you're going to see a lot of the big players out there converting old malls to destination entertainment spot. As an example, if you have Dave & Buster, do you just drive by and say, oh, there's a Dave & Buster, I need to go there? No, you look up, hey guys, we're gonna go to Dave & Buster's, so let's find out where it is. You're gonna look it up, you're gonna put it in your Waze or your Google Map or Android Map to get there. So those are some of the tenants that you want to curate for your property that has poor frontage, because that business is not relying on drive-by traffic. It's in a good location from egress, ingress, with a lot of visibility. However, they're attracting destination customers who are coming to the venue. As an example, you don't go to Outback Steakhouse or TGIF or even Fleming's or Ruth Chris by just driving by and say, I want some ribeye. No, it doesn't work that way. You're going to look it up. So these are some of the businesses that you should be looking towards that may not need the frontage, but they're going to be attracting the right clientele there. So now if you get one or two anchor tenants who drive traffic that way, then other areas that has less poor frontage, but those inline spaces, you're going to be able to attract different users that gets a synergetic benefit by having those destination retailers. So it's very important, even before you purchase this asset, is, hey, what is the retail survey look like? Who's missing? What type of tenants can I attract to this market? If it's a high income, was that going to be attracting Starbucks? Is that going to be Subway? Or is that Taco Bell? Or is that going to be, Five Guys? I mean, you have to understand how you're going to get that in there. And if you have a very successful restaurant, you can piggyback off that. What type of restaurant is that? Are they a Chinese restaurant, Asian restaurant, Mexican restaurant? Then what other restaurant concepts are out there that could be synergetic to that? You're not going to get another Latin cuisine because it's going to conflict with your currently successful restaurant, right? So these are all planning you should be doing and underwriting and figuring out who's out there even before you purchase this asset. Unless your strategy is to purchase it, demolish it, and build a new building. That's usually a developer play. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about, poor frontage. But because they have poor frontage, you have high vacancy, you also take a lot of risk by trying to curate those tenants. So you have to ensure your purchase price or your basis is attractive enough so that can buffer some downturn and waiting longer periods to get the right tenant, instead of you being frantically, I got to pay my mortgage or my financing and just carrying any other tenant, because you're going to have the similar issues as other business leaving with the prior ownership. I know that's a very long-winded answer, but I try to touch upon a lot of different areas and hope that was helpful for you. If you found this content helpful, please share, subscribe, and like. Thank you very much.